Good morning, Southeast Minnesota. It's June 10th, 2020, and this is episode 28. Allie, been a warm stretch here over the weekend, the first part of the week. A bunch of rain here yesterday overnight. Things changed a lot. I didn't get out to the field much on Friday. I had some office work to catch up on, and man, by the time I got back out there first of the week, things progressed pretty nice across the area, and GDUs are starting to pile up.
Yeah, GDU wise, we're sitting at about 545, so that's about 75 above the average. And I'm calculating these from that April 20th planting date. That would easily put us V6 plus on the corn staging side of things. And it's interesting you talk about how drastically things have changed. I was kind of joking last week. I mean, this is aggressive, but it felt like that corn was putting on about a collar a day. I mean, it certainly wasn't, but it does take about 84 GDUs between leaf stages as we get to this point in the game. So things really are moving along quite rapidly, which I think just leads us to the point we sit. We've been moving fast and furious on some of these corn post applications. So you are just gonna want to make sure you keep track of that corn growth staging with this really rapid pace that we're on right now. Just keeping top of mind some of those max either stage or height restrictions for some of these post herbicide applications. Any specific call outs on some of those products, Josh, to keep a watch on?
Yeah, there's pretty commonly when we're spraying post-emerge corn, there's a lot of times we're using some acetochlor containing products for that residual grass control. 11-inch corn is the cutoff for that. There's a lot of corn, Allie, that's probably above that now. And commonly that V6 stage is where there's some other post-emerge, combination products that are going to be kind of in that window that we need to be wrapped up. And I think for the most part, we did get I think majority of the corn post spraying is done. There's still a little bit out there to do, but I do feel like we got over the hump on that. Had some tough weather, got some wind there. We fought, and I kind of thought we were going to have an easy window there, but Mother Nature always gets in the way there a little bit. And you mentioned now GDU wise, it should be at V6, and that puts the growing point above ground. So that's always a big time of the year. And nodal root system is really starting to develop and take a hold, which is always kind of a big change in the plant, and it really starts to progress nicely. And so just a few things there, kind of where it's at. Allie, the big news here, a lot of our growers in the soybean world, kind of the court ruling on the dicamba situation, running pretty to extend soybeans. A lot of chatter on that, a lot of confusion, Allie. I think the first thing was kind of the first 72 hours of not really knowing how to respond to that. But I do think it's probably worthwhile to touch base kind of where we're at and what that's going to look like here moving forward for this particular post-emerge soybean spraying season.
Like you said, there's been a lot of gray area around this since we came out of last week. From our end of things, if we look at information we're able to provide, the EPA did finally issue some of those statements, just providing a little bit more clarity for actually implementing some of these registrations through the rest of this year. So, from my perspective of things, I'm going to start with maybe some of that information from the EPA in terms of their guidance. And then after you start there, do want to make sure that you're focusing a little bit more specifically on what your specific state has in terms of product use on those particular products, because that is going to vary from state to state. So that's probably a little more high level direction of everything I just said too. But anything you want to add there, Josh?
No, I think you kind of hit the nail on the head there, and we're not maybe going to go through every specific because we don't want to misspeak or put the wrong information out there, but yeah, definitely just refer to that EPA order directly, and then from there, kind of to the Minnesota Department of Ag site. I think had a pretty good release locally of how we're going to move forward on this, and there's definitely some options, some opportunity to move forward and utilize some of this, but we're just going to make sure we follow those rules. Number one of kind of how they want to handle this season, and then on the second side, just make sure we stay on label with all those applications. But it is a bit of a confusing time. But don't be shy to reach out to your local Pioneer sales rep too. They've got a lot of information we've been emailing out and sending them. But don't be shy to lean on some people in the industry to get some guidance, because it was confusing for us the first 72 hours of that as well. And we'll have to work through this, and then from that standpoint, start looking at the future and see what see if it gets re-registered in December or how we move forward. But other technologies out there, Allie, that we can lean on but yeah, kind of definitely a curveball to have something like this come unexpected in the middle of kind of just entering the soybean spray season. To as we wrapped up corn, and we usually jump right into beans. And in Allie, when we look about soybean post weed control, I'd say, looking at where stage is at and weeds are at, I think our post-merge application window, I think it's open, and it's about time to get going.
Yeah, it is about time to get going. And I did just want to backtrack just a second, just because, obviously this information did come a little bit more out of left field, and it is a fluid situation. But and you mentioned this too, as you have questions, don't hesitate to reach out to some of us. We can start to talk through what some of those technology options might look like across your specific operation for the future. So plenty of things to take a peek at yet this summer to fully understand all those different technologies. So even though it did come at an odd time, at least we're still at a position here to really understand some of these enlist varieties specifically as we move forward this year, and excited to continue to keep a watch on those. But as we come out of this segment into segment 2, Josh, we're going to talk a little bit more about sulfur paired with some of these in-season nitrogen applications.